Hello, and welcome to my presentation of the Chernobyl disaster and how it was a failed crisis with this photo of the aftermath by Rare Historical Photos. To start off with the brief profile, the main organization was the Soviet Union, which was established in 1922 through a treaty to create the USSR, according to History.com editors. The main communicator of the crisis was Mikhail Gorbachev, the General Secretary of the CPSU, for around a year, according to the Mikhail Gorbachev biography. Chernobyl was an ancient town with nearly 800 years of history before the construction of the nuclear plant finished in 1983, according to Science Insights team. According to NEI's leadership team, the reactor built at Chernobyl was a RBMK reactor, which was never built by any country outside the USSR because it had characteristics that were rejected everywhere, like it being unstable on startup and shutdown. This was mostly due to the reactors using graphite, where American reactors use water to decrease power. Next, let's dive into the actual accident. According to AJ Software and Multimedia, the accident was started by a series of events that snowballed on April 25th that were meant for a safety test on Reactor 4. Then, on April 26, 1986, at 1:23 a.m., the first explosion occurred that was followed by at least one more at Reactor 4. Residents weren't told about the disaster for almost 36 hours. Then, 115,000 residents were evacuated and told it would be temporary, but Swedish and U.S. intelligence said otherwise, as they knew about the radiation leak and the damage it would cause. The real successful efforts to contain the crisis was when they poured concrete under the reactor, which later led to the creation of the structure of metal and concrete that holds the radiation at bay now, the sarcophagus. Gorbachev then gave a speech on live television, and according to TASS translations that were published by New York Times in 1986, he said, "The most serious consequences have been averted," and blamed the Western media for blowing the crisis out of proportion. However, according to Grayson Webb, 30 people immediately died, which were first responders, but there were millions affected by radiation-related illnesses that included many forms of cancer and even a heart malformation in kids called Chernobyl heart. The diagram on the right, also shared by Webb, is a visual of the area affected by radiation. Moving on, here's a video of what Chernobyl accident could have looked like, as this is a reconstruction of the crisis made by Technics Recording in 2021. So, why did this crisis communication fail? Firstly, I want to cover how they failed at decision theory, as they initially decided to try and minimize damage that actually occurred by providing selective and restricted information, according to Jake Hekla in 2020, which resulted in a lot of unnecessary deaths. Next, they also failed at apologia theory, as they directed the exaggeration of the crisis at Western media instead of taking full accountability and apologizing for their actions, as seen in TASS translations of Gorbachev's speech. That leads me into the last theme I want to apply to this crisis too, which is Fink's 1986 four-stage crisis model. The prodromal stage would be the snowball effect of events that included disabling the cooling system, violating the plant's safety guideline, and the shutdown of the automatic safety system. In the acute stage, the point of no return was when the two explosions in Reactor 4 occurred, according to AJ Software and Multimedia. Next, in the chronic stage, the cleanup of this crisis took a while and didn't end until the sarcophagus completely trapped the radiation from spreading, which would be the resolution stage. These two photos are from Rare Historical Photos. Now, what would I have done during this crisis? Firstly, I would have had a better safety system and protocols in place to detect prodromes of a crisis like this to stop a crisis like this before it starts. Secondly, I would wait until the results of the damage were official in order to share the information with my response team, instead of rushing, which caused the deaths of the firefighters trying to fight fire fueled by the exposed core. Thirdly, I would immediately have their surrounding area evacuated to limit the damage as much as possible, unlike what actually happened with them waiting 36 hours to evacuate the residents. Fourthly, after these steps, I would hold my press conference to address the world and take full responsibility for using experimental technology that was different from any other reactor before. In conclusion, these points lead me to the goal of this plan, which is to utilize decision theory and apologia to hopefully regain the image of myself as a leader and the USSR as a whole through image restoration theory.